Okay, here's what's on the bench today. I used to carry my business cards in my wallet, but they would get all worn out. So I made myself a little leather carrying pouch for my business cards, but then I ran it through the washer. So now we got to make ourselves another one. All right, we got our pattern recreated. I'm going to hold on to this in case I destroy my next one. And I'm going to be using this 3 to 4 ounce leather because it's a little thin for anything else that I do. It doesn't work for me for sheaths. So I make little things like this out of it when I need something. But yeah, let's trace this out and cut it out. And then we have one other piece to make. After that, I have to cut out this little flap. And all that was is just so I could tuck the front tab in and keep it closed. Oops. All right, here's a scrap remnant of some 1 to 2 ounce. And we need a 4.5 by 1/2 inch piece. So we'll go 4.5. And then we'll do 1/2 inch. Oops. Good. There we go. Now I'm going to dye these 2 pieces and then we'll sew it up. I'm a big fan of mahogany. That's why I have a giant bottle of it. But we could do saddle tan or something like that. I think we'll stick with mahogany. It's the color I use for the majority of my sheaths and belts. Since I am a US maker, I'm going to put a United States flag on here. So we're going to pick our layout spot. That'll be good. That'll be in the center back of the case. Give it a good whack. There we go. And since my last name's North, we're going to emboss an N on here as well. There we go. This is the normal finish for leather. Obviously we do like a top coat, but I've seen some cool finishes that I've wanted to try, and I think it's done with just like a wire bristle brush and just done some like circles on it. So we're going to try it on this because this is mine. It's not going to a customer, and so we experiment around with the stuff that we keep. So let's check it out. Meh. Not what I was expecting. Nah. Well, we already started. We gotta finish it. Let's see how it looks after we put a top coat on it. Not exactly what I was hoping for, but that's all right. Give it some texture. We'll see how it looks after we do our top coat on here. Little interesting. Wouldn't say it looks good. Oh well. Make sure to hit those edges. Cool. All right, now let's hit it with a top coat. I use Leather Balm with Atom Wax. I like the finish that this gives versus Rosaline or Resaline or however you pronounce it. It's less plasticky. So this is my preferred finish for most stuff. And we'll just apply it with a rag and buff it off with a rag. Pretty simple. Cool. Come back in like 15 minutes and buff it off. All right, let's buff it. Shiny. Those scratches really don't come through. That's all right. Do this as well. And then normally I do, you know, multiple coats on a sheath. But this, we're just going to do one coat. Hit it with the brush. All right. Cool. All right. So I've already taken a card and put it in here. And I bring this up to almost this corner, maybe like a quarter of an inch down. That way when you have a stack of cards in there that's thick, this top has enough room to spread that gap and then still tuck in. So this is gonna go somewhere right in here. Oop, I think on the previous one I put it so it was right underneath that cutout. So I'm going to lay out my stitching, and we'll pump the holes and then stitch this up, and then it'll be done. Almost forgot, I'm definitely going to burnish the edges. So we'll put some Tokonole on here and burnish these, make them look a little better. And then we'll lay out our stitching. Okay, we have the edges burnished just a little bit. I also messed around with putting some Tokonole on the back side here and then leather balm up here to see if that would help smooth out this rough back side of the leather. Tokonole worked pretty good, but you had to use quite a bit of it. And then the leather balm didn't really smooth it out. It did a little bit, but not as much as the Tokonole. And it darkened it up quite a bit. So anyways, kind of a interesting experiment. All right, so time to poke the stitching holes. And normally I use a pricking iron like this, where it's like kind of that diamond shape. And it pokes a hole and like spreads the leather apart. But I just picked up this one from Wuda, I think is how you pronounce that company's name. But anyways, these have hollow prongs. And so it actually punches like a small hole in the leather. So similar to this, but just on a smaller scale. And I'm curious to see how that works. It also comes with like normal prongs that you can swap out. These are all little Allen keys. But I'm curious to see how this works. It should make the stitching a lot easier. But I don't know if I'd use it on sheaths because I like that leather to close back up around that thread and hold it nice and tight. But on something like this, I think it'll work great. Cool. Pop some nice holes in there. All right, punch the rest of them here. All right, so I did on this side what I normally do, where it's I fold it over, and then I'll punch from the face down through the back. And you can see the holes on this side are a little chewed up. So on this side, I punched the holes for the face right here. I poked through with an awl on the starting hole, and then punched from this face in. So now these holes, both this sets of holes are super clean. Whereas this set, these are nice and these ones are a little chewed up, which should get hidden by the thread. But we'll see. So normally when I saddle stitch, I have to push an awl through the holes to widen them open enough to get the thread through. But these holes are cut out with those little tiny punches, and so I'm not going to have to do that. I'm just going to stitch away. All right, finished up here. So let's throw some business cards in there. They have a little cutout so you can easily pull one out. Fit in there good. And then you have this flap to keep everything closed and nice and tidy. So now I have my business card holder back. A fun little project. So if this seems like a project that you'd like to try on your own, it's a pretty simple beginner leather project. I drew up the template for this in CAD, and I have a link in the description down below to my website where you can download this 2-scale PDF drawing. When you print it off, make sure that you measure it and double check that it's printing 2-scale. When I first printed this, my printer was shrinking it a little bit, so it was about 1/8 or 1/4 inch undersized. So just double check that. You might have to tweak some settings on your printer to get this to print actual size, and then it measures out exactly 4.5 inches. You know, all the measurements are to scale. So, all right, I appreciate you guys watching, and if you make one of these, let me know. I'd love to hear how it went for you.